Darren Rovell with Collect TV here with Collect's William Stern and Ben Lyons, cultural sports maven. Now we have something pretty interesting. The Kobe Bryant jersey from November 3rd, 1996, which was the day that he debuted his actual NBA regular season debut. That jersey is going to be up for sale at Sotheby's, and the jersey that Michael Jordan wore on October 5th, 1984 in Peoria, Illinois, which was his first preseason game. These jerseys are estimated to go in the $10 million range, and it's very exciting. Now, Will, you did the story for us, obviously at Sotheby's. People are going to have to try to figure out the difference between a preseason jersey and a NBA regular season debut. The issue is we don't necessarily have enough preseason jerseys in for anyone to figure out what the comp is here of one versus the other.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the reason why we don't have that many could be possibly lack of interest. Like I think that that's a little bit of a sign, and I think it's pretty clear where I'm going on this. If you ask a player what was their first game, they're not going to tell you their preseason game. I imagine they would probably all say their first actual game in the league. Um, so as far as if we're comparing the jerseys, to me, it's a question of two things: preseason versus NBA debut. And to me, it's very obvious that NBA debut is like 10x to 50x a preseason debut. And then it's Kobe versus LeBron. Shoot.
Now, if you go to tickets, because there are comps there, and there's a story on our site as well on this. If you look at Jordan's preseason, and in the pandemic, it was declared that it was more important than I think it's now shaken out to be. But that preseason ticket, that October 5th, 84 ticket, in good conditions, about $5,000. If you get the red of the Jordan debut, it's 65,000. So figure 12, 13x there. LeBron, a preseason summer league game versus his debut, October 29th of 2003. There's about a 15 to 17x difference there. So at least in the land of where we do have comps and tickets, does seem to be a major difference. But here comes Ben Lyons.
Yeah, you're talking to somebody who was in the building for Michael Jordan's preseason debut with the Washington
Here.
Wizards at the Palace at
Oh, the
Auburn
Wizards.
Hills,
Oh, the Wizards. Yeah.
playing against the Pistons, and I want to say 2000, 2 or 3 or whenever that was. But then his regular season debut, if memory serves, I believe was at the world's most famous Madison Square Garden. But I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
being
Wait, let me take you. So now, Ben, there are other things going on here. It is the script Chicago jersey, only worn by the Bulls in the 84-85 season.
which is the kind of design that's hanging in the Miami Heat's arena because they thought everybody around the league was going to retire 23 and only they did it along with the Bulls, obviously. But they have the script 23 in the rafters in Miami.
Right. So you got that. You got the script 23, you have Jordan, and there is one part of this jersey that's very interesting. Although Jordan was Jordan, apparently this jersey went around, and you can actually kind of see the remnants, not who it was, of someone who used the jersey before Jordan. So it wasn't fresh, which is so 1984 it hurts. But so that there's definitely some charm to the Jordan one, the beginning of the beginning, the band shoe, that there isn't with Kobe.
Listen, anything Jordan for people of a certain generation means something special. That's why you're talking to a guy who just has random Sports Illustrateds around his house, knowing he'd come on this very program, right? But the idea of Jordan, he's so well documented now that The Last Dance has come out as sort of the defining documentary about his run with the Bulls, that anything that was left out of The Last Dance, there's interest, a photograph, a time he wore a sneaker that wasn't Nike, photos from a game, a tour in Japan or wherever he went that wasn't included in The Last Dance. There seems to be some excitement around that. And again, the hype around him coming into the league was far greater than it was for Kobe, a high school kid at the time.
Does it matter that Kobe scored 0 points in a couple minutes in that jersey?
No, I don't think so. I think it actually makes it cooler in a lot of ways because it tells you where he came from and where he ultimately ended up. The fact that he can bookend that with 60 in his last game is kind of cool.
Will, who do you think the buyer is for this? Is it a new buyer, someone who's already been in game worn? Does a Lakers fan buy the Kobe? Or is it just kind of who the hell knows?
I think again because of the just more regular nature of like a regular season debut, the Kobe's gonna probably be more easily understood by just a wider variety of people. So it's sports fan, rich person, right? Whereas the Jordan preseason debut gets a little bit more specific and is probably someone who's already a collector who kind of has an opinion on this preseason versus regular season debate. Regardless, it's still going to be somebody who's got a boatload of money. But
You think the
It's
$10
almost like
million
it's almost like what they're doing with the Jordan sneakers, and that they're re-releasing colorways of designs from 1987 or 1990, and they're creating another story around the product. Oh, these are the gold sixes honoring the sixth title, and just coming up with more lore to tap into. This feels like it's adding to that
It
storyline.
would be pretty cool if Mitchell and Ness slash Fanatics did a Jordan preseason jersey, mocking what this is. Do you think, Will, the numbers are gonna get there? Sometimes people, Golden now is not putting out estimates. Sometimes estimates are so that they're wishing to get to that number, that people they bid up to that number. Knowing that we have the Kobe Achilles, what was that, like 4-6, the Achilles pop jersey. We have the Jordan, what was that, game one of the 1998 NBA Finals, sold for 10.1 million.
yep.
Is 10 million here aggressive, overthinking, or just right, or maybe low?
I it's not low. I mean, I think it's aggressive for sure because if it either jersey hits 10,
It's going to break
it's
the record
yeah, 10.1 is currently the second most expensive piece of sports memorabilia ever sold behind
ever.
papers called Shot. So it's impossible to act like it's not a, just an insanely large amount of money and would be a wild result. But I think for Kobe, I could see it hitting 10. I mean, so the last time that this jersey sold publicly was in 2013. It sold for 115K, which at the time that was a record for like a modern NBA jersey. And I don't know, is that the market has changed so much by now. It's being reintroduced into just a completely different world at a different venue that's got a ton of eyeballs.
Ben, what do you think kind of has happened with game use? Because if you go back like 5 to 10 years, it's like, yeah, the cards with the little pieces of jersey, that those are portable, those are easy to understand. Once you have to get a frame and put it on the wall, and oh, it's a pain in the butt, and it's too big, and you can't carry it around. And it seems like in the last 6, 7 years, that's gone by the wayside. So
Yeah, because you got to think about all the collectors who grew up watching and idolizing Kobe now have a little bit of discretionary income and the ability to put something up on the wall in the home they own, or in the in the business that they work in. So you see Laker fans who remember when he was drafted in '96, and they tap into that nostalgia. 30 years later, they're able to now present their collectibles in a much more elevated type of way. And it's interesting, guys. We were talking a little bit before we jumped on the hype around Jordan when he came into the league. He was the player of the year collegiately. He had won a national title. He had played in the Olympics. He was a top, 3 pick in the draft. It was a lot higher, even in some ways, than Kobe Bryant, who was the 13th pick and was traded and was unknown as a high school kid. And as you said, struggled in his first game with 0 points, struggled in his rookie season. Jordan went on to win Rookie of the Year. So, he was obviously a much more kind of touted, anticipated prospect in a lot of ways than Kobe was when he entered the league.
favorite story Kobe ever told me was his first game against Michael Jordan in Chicago. And Jordan's got him up against, he's by the 3-point line. He's got him all the way out. and he does the rock back. And Kobe had watched, Come Fly With Me and all the VHS tapes, and he knew what was going to happen. He knew that Jordan was going to rock back once. He was going to fake right, go left along the baseline and dunk on his head. So Kobe knows exactly what's going to happen. Michael fakes right, goes left and dunks on his head, and they're walking up the court. And he says to Kobe, looks a whole lot different in person. What a great freaking story.
Now, I'd be curious your guys' perspective. That's obviously a very famous game, and those photographs have become iconic. Would you take those two jerseys from that game or the two jerseys that are up for sale if you're able to pair them together?
Yeah, it's just I think with what's coming, it's basically just what comes out. I'm a moment guy. I'm not a I actually would, if I had the wherewithal, I would never think to buy the Kobe jersey for the first time. It actually does not appeal to me at all. The Jordan preseason debut does not appeal to me at all. I'd rather have the double nickel at the Garden. I'd rather have coming back. I'm back as 45 from Indianapolis. I'd rather have, the shrug game. I would rather have even his favorite dunk with his dunk over Ewing. I would rather have the foul line from the '88 All-Star Game dunk contest. I mean,
Any others?
I would rather have.
You'd rather have a Birmingham Barons jersey. You'd rather have
I would rather
the
have his.
All-Star game in Atlanta. All of them.
Yeah, I would rather have the jersey and the shoes from the game that he first wore Jordans. So yeah, so to me, I'm a real moment guy, and I don't care for this, but there's enough people who like the whole first thing and how fresh it is and how cool of a story it is.
I'm probably much closer to thinking that the debuts are super cool on that spectrum than Darren. But I get the moment versus debut debate. I don't really care to pick a side other than I think they both make a ton of sense. And it's talking about value. Look, it's a lot of times when you're talking about value, it's like how easy is it to explain just to a general audience? And there's nothing easier than first jersey, right? Everyone just gets what that is. So to me, I think that's what drives it is just the simplicity of it. And yeah, obviously it being first and what it represents. I like what you said earlier about Kobe's, 0 points being bookended by his last game of 60. That adds some charm to it for me as well.
I'm going to end this by asking for a prediction from both of you. Is either of these jerseys won by a famous person? And if your answer is yes, does that person tell the world they won it? Will?
I think Kobe's has a good shot of it. LA, just the amount, especially Sotheby's, the audience there. And yeah, I think probably. I mean, I want to always say Spike Lee, but it would need to be a Knicks jersey, I think. But I don't know who, but I could see it.
Ben?
I feel like Spike Lee had that wonderful exhibit at the Brooklyn Museum as a way to kind of just get some of the collectible items that were in his house out of the house.
Yeah.
Like that's where he could keep his Roy Campanella MVP and his, Jordan shoes and whatnot. But yeah, I think you might see the Kobe one go to somebody locally in Los Angeles, having worked on the Lakers radio station for 10 years. I feel like I have a deep understanding of the fanaticism around Kobe in Southern California. And I could see some diehard psychopath Laker fan making a bid that is far outside their means, but it's Kobe, so they had to do it. And then, the Jordan one, potentially from a private collector who will remain anonymous. I could see that happening.
There you go. William Stern, Ben Lyons, thanks so much for joining us here on Collect TV to talk about Michael Jordan's preseason debut jersey and Kobe Bryant's regular season debut jersey now on the block at Sotheby's.